morning, beautifuls. This is Mana Reads. So today I'm very excited. I have a very special guest. I have Alex. She runs the fan site Dream BL. You may have seen her on Twitter. But she's gonna go ahead and introduce herself and let you know why I'm interviewing her. No, I'm just kidding. She's just gonna talk about her passion and take it away.
Hello, so I'm Alex. I'm from Portugal and I run Dream BL. That is, initially it was supposed to be just a Portuguese fan base, but nowadays it's a mix of English and Portuguese and all the language I can put in between. And yeah, I think that's it. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter in DreamBL_PT. Both socials are the same username. And yeah. That's it.
So, so do you run the fan site by yourself, or do you have like a team of like people that like help you
Yeah,
manage?
I have a team. I'm usually the one that puts the tweets and it posts on Instagram and Twitter. But my team has two translators. They are both Thai. We have three that she does the text, letters, posts. She translates all the interviews, so she's the mastermind behind. Then we have Gepi that some may have seen on our first interviews. It's our translator for the interviews. And then we have our special girl, that is Sarah, and she's the one behind all the digital image of the pages. She does the interview edition. She does all the templates for the page. Everything that is digital is with her. So yeah, we're four
Oh
right now.
wow, that's a good amount of people. So like when you were first of all, let's just start off with like when did you get into BL um and yeah, just when did you get into BL like yourself, like personally?
I was around 14, 15, I don't know, maybe. I started with one of the first shows to have a gay couple that was As the World Turns, and it was cancelled. And then I skipped to the British ones, and lately, like 2 or 3 years ago, I found the world of BL itself, like the Asian part. But yeah, since very young, I used to see a lot of BLs in YouTube. People used to update just like the parts of the couples from the shows. Like the show wasn't a BL show, but people just put the storyline, and that's where I started. Maybe it can be related with the time I came out. So maybe that's how I got.
Um yeah, I mean that's a long time, but I guess yeah, that would make sense. I mean, you kind of see like a bit of representation, and you feel a bit more comfortable, coming out and and just expressing yourself the way that you want and the way that you're comfortable with. So so you're a fan. You just watch BL, and you're you start maybe a Twitter account, you start like just tweeting. So like how did you like decide then that you wanted to kind of take it a step further?
This is actually a funny story because Dream BL started as a gift to the first person that was with me. Because when I opened Dream BL, it was me and Jessie. She's no longer on the project, but she's a very dear friend of mine. And this started because we started noticing that there wasn't many pages in Portugal. And she's like, well, one day I wish we could do that. I wish I could have like a fun page or something. And I was like, why not? Okay, like I don't mind doing that with you. So it started just like a gift for her, like her place. Um, and then I guess I kind of fell in love with running a fun page, and then I created the whole project. But yeah, it wasn't something like oh I want to be more connected with the world. It was actually like she wants to do this, so let's do this together. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And now it's you and like four, like three other girls. I don't
yeah,
know. They all, yeah, cooperating with the project, which is how I actually found you. I was just, tweeting, and I just kept on seeing your page pop up, and I was just like, well, I'm not Portuguese, but I was just like, oh, let's see, what this page is about, and I think we started really working together during
yeah,
my
my
secret
secret.
love. Yeah, for that, and that was really fun cooperating with you on a lot of different. And your team is really good. Like you guys are on it. Like I don't even know. Like it's just amazing to me. But y'all are doing a good job over there. So since you started the fan project, were you surprised that it's like that a lot of people like seem to follow you and seem to like want to know about your projects or just like look to you like for like news and for like advice? How does that make you feel? Like was that like really overwhelming? Like did you like process
Yeah.
it like at all?
Like I wasn't expecting at all first to have actual people following like every day and like coming for news and asking recommendations and stuff. Neither I expected to be Dreamville with like all the knowing the artists and like reaching this step wasn't like anything I could ever imagine. Like it's still nowadays I open the page, I'm like, is this real? Like this can't be real. So and I think like at some point it got very very overwhelming because we let launch in March, April, and around June, yes, around June, it got a lot of people, and then it was when I started doing more interviews, and it was very overwhelming because I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like I don't have um I don't have profile to run a fan base this professional. But then I have like the community. When we're about to give up, they're like, no, you're not going to step out from now. Now you're here, you're staying here. And I guess I have to thank a lot to the girls that our interfan group. They kind of adopted me during You're My Sky when You're My Sky was airing. That's when I found them, and we stick together till now. And I think like it's very beautiful because I never expected, to be honest. Neither I expected to have like people like you and other podcasts to actually support, like not having that competition. No, like being all friends, like we are supporting each other. So yeah, it's
Well,
surreal.
yeah. I mean, for me, I think when I first started the podcast, I obviously knew that there was like podcasts that existed, right? Like, it's not like I didn't know that. But I just had a passion, and had been just on Twitter by myself for about, I think I had been about a year for that point, and I was just like, well, why don't I just start one? Just cause, like, just and like, and I didn't really like. It was just kind of a thing that happened like during the pandemic. I was like, well, I'm not going outside, and I need to do something to keep myself kind of grounded. And so I did this, not really thinking about the future or not really thinking about if it was gonna take off, just kind of like, well, we'll see how it goes. And I first started with Word of Honor. I think that was like the one that was like really popular when I started doing my podcast, and I was just like reviewing that for a bit, and then it kind of like evolved into talking about like the BL community and issues that affect overall like the BL like landscape, and it really surprised me too, like that people actually wanted to listen to me. Like I was just like, oh,
I know
okay,
this.
cool.
Oh, you like me, so you like what I do. Oh, that's funny because like we don't expect this. We do this because we love, but like having people to actually love us for what we do is like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then and I didn't really think about like, oh, I'm gonna like start competing with other like BL content creators. Like I was just like, I think that there's enough space for all of us to kind of like coexist and maybe like collaborate once in a while, or just kind of like be supportive of each other, because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we seem like we're really big, like to us, but we're really not. Like, it's really small, once you think about it. And even the things that we cover, like in Thailand, like Thai BL and that community is small too. So it's like, we feel like there's like a, that it's too big, but it's actually like pretty insular, and we're all pretty.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's better to like root for each other than like root against each other, because there's like no point in doing that.
Exactly. It's like it doesn't matter that we all are like covering the same thing because we have different ways to approach it. So it's like let's root for each other because there's space for everyone because everyone has their brand mark. Like everyone does things in a specific way. So like let's just keep supporting each other because the more we support each other, the more the artists will see that. Like oh, okay, so we can do this, and they talk with this and that. So I think it's like a win-win situation because some people are like, oh, I see, I went this, and like, oh, I came from that person, and you know how is the community. When we are supporting each other, we found like, oh, like you can go this way, you can go that way. So I think that's the part that people usually don't see because I don't think that the fans that like are out of the podcast notice that we are actually a community that are supporting each other. Like we are rooting this as much as any other fans. Are like, oh, they have a new video. Oh, they did a new interview. So it's like it's special. At least most of it. Of course, there's like downsides. We know that it's not a perfect
Yeah,
world.
right, right, right,
So
right. Yeah, and those can get ugly, but for the most part, I feel that we all, like, as BL like content creators, I think we all do want the best for each other.
yeah,
Because like I feel like if like one person succeeds, or one like YouTube channel, then we can help everybody else succeed. I mean, I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. I do not like fan wars, especially like I think it takes away from just a lot of things, and a lot of the times fan wars don't really accomplish anything. Like they never accomplish anything. Like they're just kind of divisive to a point.
there's parts of the world of BL that I just put myself aside. It's like it's not that I don't know that it exists, but I prefer to not like have a seat on that show. So it's like no, better not, because like it's not that I'm all peace and love, but fighting online is not like it doesn't help anyone. Doesn't help the fans. Doesn't help the artists nor the company. So yeah, I'm also like you, like fan wars like that. No, it's not my thing.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, I wanted to talk to you about your most recent interviews, because I think you have had a couple under your belt. I know that you haven't posted them as of yet, so you may not want to give too many spoilers away. But like, who is your favorite idol to interview?
It's the one that is yet to to come out. Uh, like until now, like the most chilled interview I did was with both. Okay, like it was the
Mhm.
most chilled one because he's like it's like super peaceful. But the it's not the best, but like the interview I loved the most to do was with Poor and Youth
Mhm.
because I knew a bit more about Poor, but like Youth, I just knew as a fan, like just what came out to the public. And talking with him was like, I was impressed. I was like, chin dropped in the end of the interview because he's like, he talked about so many things that usually the artists try to not get into. And I was like, Okay, so it's one of the most delicate interviews I'm about to wear because, like, yeah, it
Oh,
touched on issues. Yeah, because we talked about the relationship between artists and fans and the boundaries there are isn't or is. Okay, like, and also he talked about the lack of LGBT rights. So it was special. It's delicate because we know that these issues are complicated and sensible, but it was like the best. Also because we had a lot of unexpected problems, like almost every one of us in that interview had internet connections problems. So it was like I thought that we will never be able to end that interview because when
oh
I
yeah,
stopped recording it, I was like, okay, let's see how much I can save from this.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but it was like the interview. I have a special spot in my heart,
Oh,
and I think like the first one is always special because there's the first
right,
they
yeah.
are the first people to rely on us. And my first interview was with Momo, Ice, and Onda from La Cuisine,
Mhm.
and it was totally unexpected because I was just to interview Momo, like just her, and ended up interviewing the three of them. And they were actually very supportive because at that time I think I had like 100 followers, not even that. I don't think that I had like many, and they trust us, like fully trusted us, and yeah, it was the most special. But I can't wait people to see interview with Poor and Mute because it's something else.
I'm
It's
I'm really excited now. Like I knew that you were gonna interview them, but like I'm really hyped up for it now. Yeah, I don't think like people realize like what it actually takes to get interviews. Because it's a lot of logistics that goes into, trying to figure out like their schedules,
yeah,
and like prepping questions and making sure like you set the correct time because we're all in different time zones,
yeah,
and so that you have to like think about too. And then like the internet issues, right? Because it's like I remember when I was doing my interview with like Earth and Odin and Fluke. Fluke was in the car, like like he was driving, and I was just like, oh no,
yeah,
like, it was. And he was like, oh no, it's okay because like there's like heavy traffic in Bangkok. I'm like, but okay, and I was like, but cars like they move, it's not like oh my god, it was so stressful for me because I just wanted to make sure that he was safe. One, like that was like my priority, and then like two, he was also having like connectivity issues.
yeah.
So like so like at one point, you're asking questions and then sometimes they could just like black out on you. Like they just like pop right out of like the interview and you're like, well,
Yeah.
like now like now what? Now what am I supposed to do? And so it's like, okay, well I have to fill this space until they come back.
Yeah, that happened with me
And,
with this review with Poor and Mute. Because Poor, like, I had to cut off one of the questions because it was impossible to understand. Like, I know what he said, and and there's another answer that is like cut off, but I will put the caption so it's bearable. But like, there was one that was impossible because it was cutting second by second. Like, it was so bad the internet connection, and at some point he had to change devices, and then it was Jamie that went out, and I was like, okay. And even like with this all coming in and coming out of the stream, the final project was with noise, like background noise, that I had to do like noise reducer, but still the audio is not as great as the other ones. But I was like, I don't care. I gotta air this anyway because like it's perfect. But yeah, sometimes like there's so many stuff we have to think and to prepare, and like there's unexpected things that happen that people don't actually have an idea. Like they just see the full interview after like hours of work behind it. So
Yeah, it's just, yeah, definitely, because it does take a lot to, one, sit down, like, 'cause it's not just, and then you just edit it and just making sure that it's like, that it's as good as can be, and you make sure that you're not misrepresenting anybody, and you're like, giving like, the fun and like the serious at the same time, and just, trying to kind of get it all together so that it makes sense. So when people watch it, they're like, oh, that was entertaining, and have it be entertaining. Like, that's another thing. Like, I think people don't realize, it's like, as like, content creators, it's just like, yes, we're interviewing these artists, and the focus is on them, but also like we also have to be on, like we can't like miss a beat, because then it's like, oh well, that interview was bad. Like, then you get your comments like, we like, oh, like, what were you doing, like it's a very stressful time, I think.
yeah, like that you said something that's very important that people don't realize sometimes, is that when we are about to interview an actor, especially if that actor was interviewed before, we have all that pressure. Like we know, we saw the before, and we have in our heads like, I can't do this, I can't repeat that, I can't ask this can't go this way, and we're like, okay, we have to follow this and just like try to not go out, because you know how interviews are, especially when are pre-recorded. Like we tend to just go away, and then when we are editing, it's like, okay, this cannot like this is out. So yeah, there's a lot of things we have to understand, and also like our facial expressions. Like I tend to look like I'm uninterested when I'm recording, because I have the computer and I
Yeah.
have the phone. So when I'm doing the interview, I'm always like looking down, but it's not that I'm just zooming out. No, I am actually looking at the guest. But as I have like the camera here and the guest here, it's like it seems always that I'm like, just okay, just speak there. Like I don't even care. So we have a lot of like, also because we know that the fans are going to analyze everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. No, no, it's okay. So actually, when you let's just kind of keep on the topic of getting the interviews. Like, what was your how should I put this? So when you're trying to get the interviews, were you nervous about the process? Like, what kind of like helped you kind of get over that initial kind of like fear of contact, and just kind of general fear of like, well, what if it doesn't work out, like what if they say no, like, how do you kind of process those emotions?
I think I had like an inverse process, because like on the first time, I like the first invites, I was pretty chill, because like for me that was so unreal. Like I never expected to get an yes, so I was like, oh, let me, like, if others do, I can do too, so let me just try. And I never expected, but after the first one, I think like the nervous and like the pressure and the need to get the invites right start to wait on me. And that's when I hired Tree, because I was like, I have to do the invites in Thai, and I'm not Thai, so I can do that. And I think after the first, it's not like I never had a no, but you know how the things work. We don't have no's. We just don't have any answer. It's like people don't actually say no. People just don't answer
They
you.
just
Like
don't reply.
they read and they're like, yeah, thank you, but move on, because I'm not going to answer you. So after that, the first time, like I was almost getting an interview, and out of the blue, someone like stopped answering. And I think that's when my confidence was like crushed. I was like, okay,
Right.
so this may not go right as I actually planned it. And from that one, I started to feel very nervous because, like, sometimes the time to answer, like, you know how it is, like, we make an invitation like in January and people answer you like in March or April. So when they answer, you are like, you're just not expecting anymore to do that interview. It's like, yeah, that is on the draw, like, kept. And sometimes when I'm very nervous and when I'm like, I want to send this invitation, but maybe I shouldn't, I go to my best friend, like, and usually I'm like, oh, I think I want to send this invitation. She's like, do it. But they they won't reply if they're not interested. So like, do it, because like
Yeah.
there's always like that 50% of chance to. But um, I think I'm more nervous when they answer than when they don't.
Yeah.
Because when they answer, it's when it starts to get real. Like, you have to send the scripts, you have to think all the dates, you have uh, to see if the translator is available or not. So that's when, like, before any interview, and some of the people that follow me on like my personal page, they see like the BTS from the recordings, and they see that like no matter how many interviews I do, the minutes before an interview, I'm a wreck. I'm like nervous. My English is like breaking. My Portuguese not working either. So yeah, like sometimes, and many people that speak Portuguese notice that that in the middle of the interviews, I tend to put words that are very, very similar to English. So an English speaker won't notice, but Portuguese one will notice that I'm not actually speaking English anymore. I'm just switching back and forth. So uh, I don't know. Like, I think that some people with the process, they start to lose that nervous, but I don't. I'm always overthinking everything and always like trying to get it right, especially if I'm trying to get an interview with someone that is very loved by my followers or the people that follow the page. I'm like, I have to do this right. So, yeah, I don't know how to deal with nervousness, okay? So, I'm not the best person.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty nerve wracking when you actually do get the yes, because it's like so unexpected. Like, and you're like, oh no, like now I have to actually do the thing. Like now I actually have to, you know, it's like even now, like I mean, I don't even like with other content creators that I interview, it's still kind of like, oh, well, now they said yes, and now I have to like be cool about it. You know, it's like it is still nerve wracking. It doesn't matter like who you interview. Like it's just like that whole like, oh, like now I'm asking these questions like what's too personal, like what like, you know, like what is appropriate, you know, just
Yeah.
kind of like along those lines, because you don't want to ask anything that's like going to make your guests uncomfortable, you know, like you
Exactly.
want people. Hmm?
Yeah. I
Like
think
you
that's
want
the.
people to feel comfortable with you, like to feel
Yeah.
like they're not talking to you like an interviewer, they're talking to a friend who's just happened to ask them these like specific questions. You know, so that's my kind of the way I look at it. It's like I want people to feel comfortable with me and to like, you know, yes, I'm asking you these questions, but like let's just kind of have a conversation and, you know,
Yeah.
see where that goes. Because like when I interviewed the cast for My Secret Love, like I had questions, like I prepared questions and they were like very straightforward, but like the things that they said outside of those questions were just like, oh my god. You know,
Yeah,
like
I
I
know.
wasn't,
I
you
know.
know, but I was like so happy because that meant that they were comfortable with me. That meant that they, weren't like, hiding parts of their personality, like that they really were just talking to me like I was like a friend. And
Yeah,
that
like
felt really good.
that's something like I always worry too. And like in our first interview, I love to work with my partner, like with Sarah, because we have sorry, we have a different point of views from the like when we are watching the interview. Of course, I'm biased because it's me who did the
Yeah.
interview, so um, I'm biased. But she watches us as like a person from outside. She always tries to be impartial, and I think I remember that was like they were very comfortable with us, but there was this question that one of them seemed to be, in her opinion, she said like someone who watches this can think that they are not very comfortable, like may just be like they are tired, but it can give the wrong impression. So we just cut off, and we're like, let's just play safe, because whether because before any interview, and probably you do the same before any interview, we have to send a script so they always know what they're going to answer. It's not anything surprises. People may think it's no surprise. The only surprise and maybe like the fans questions sometimes. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm worse than okay. I'm back. I'm worse than poor.
Okay. Okay. Also,
So I'm worse.
too, like people, yeah. Oh, go ahead with your point.
I was saying that people think that sometimes we like just it's just asking and answering, but no, they are fully aware, because we have to present that. We can just go there like, so let me surprise you with something you may not want to answer. No, they just play safe. But even that, like I think that's why I love the interview I did with Poor and Mute, because that's the interview I feel that the guests were more comfortable in, because I had Poor eating and drinking throughout the whole interview. He was so chilled. He was so comfortable. I was like, okay, this is what I want people to be like. I want them to talk, to be like, okay, I'm here, but I'm talking with a friend. And that's my always my fear too. That the fear that we may ask something that although they have the script, my fear is that when we are asking, the things may not be interpreted in the best way, and there's
Mm.
that awkward problem. I never had that, thankfully, but that's a fear I have, like because it can happen. We saw before in many other interviews, like sometimes asking something that we meant to ask in a way, but they got in another, and that's where the disconnection between interview and guest goes out. So yeah, and even when I interview other fellow podcasters, because we it's not aired yet, it will be the last interview of the year, but I interviewed the Love Podcast girls. They were very like they were amazing with me, but that was also my problem. I was like, okay, I'm used to interview artists, but interviewing other podcasters is the same. Like the nervousness is there. We're like, how do we do this? Like I asked them if they were interested, and they said yes. I was like, okay, so now what do I do? I wasn't expecting that. So I think that's the fear that all of us have. Anyone that interviews anyone, whether it's an artist, a director, a fellow podcaster, is the fear of making people uncomfortable, because that's where the trust breaks. That's where
Yeah.
the relationship gets awkward. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that because it's like even when I asked you, I didn't expect you to say yes. Like I was just like asking because like I know that we had a good relationship, or what I felt was we had a good relationship. We had worked
Yeah.
together for during My Secret Love, and like I felt like I wanted to interview you because I had seen that you had done interviews with like, a couple of artists, and I was like, well, how interesting that she just kind of is doing this like out of love for, like she has so much passion, and I like talking to people that are passionate about what they do. And so like I was like really happy that you said yes because I was like, yay. But at the same time it's like, well, now it's like now I don't want to make her uncomfortable. Like now I'm just like now it's like I want to like harbor a good relationship,
Yeah.
like as friends, but also as like maybe colleagues, to collaborate, in future things, So it's always really important to me to like maintain that trust and to
Yeah.
maintain that level of comfort, because like if you don't, then it's like, okay, well, thank you, and like never hear from you again. It's kind of like that kind of
I know
situation.
that. Yeah. But like
Yeah.
when I had
Mhm.
like your invitation, I was like, oh, that's like I felt so like so happy because I wasn't expecting anything. Like I never expected anyone to be interested like in talking with me. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And especially because as you said, we had collaborated before, not only throughout the spaces, but with the projects to the guests, like the food support and the gifts, the birthday gifts. So it was like it is very special when we had this opportunity to like be friends, be colleagues, and like, yeah. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for that.
Oh no. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so now we got all that out of the way. Now it's time for the fun stuff. uh, currently, what BLs are you watching right now? And
Right now,
and which one's your
uh,
favorite?
I'm watching Ghost Host's House. Uh, I'm watching more The Eclipse. I know that I'm watching way more. Uh, I started another one that I'm forgetting the name. Right now, I'm forgetting the name, but I know the name of the characters. That is the main character is Cher. I'm forgetting the name.
Oh,
Fahala.
Talking Rock. Talking
Exactly.
Rock. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm also watching. Um, there's another one. Yeah, but I'm forgetting. I don't know, like almost all the BLs that are airing right now in Gaga Ulala, I'm watching them. So that's like the ones I'm focused more in is the Eclipse and Ghost Host Ghost House, because like yeah, I was waiting for that one to air.
Yeah, I'm watching the Eclipse, and I'm a bit addicted to it. Like I don't understand like the hold it has on me because I have just been making like TikTok edits, like just video edits of like, oh, it's so bad. Like I think oh my god,
It's
it's
a
like
very
it's
special
like,
story. Like I
huh?
wasn't expecting to like it that much, but like it's something special. That series has something special that like has us on
I think
chokehold.
I think it's like one. I definitely am a fan of like Kauta and First. Like I really enjoyed them like on their different series, and so like I was excited that they were gonna be like in the series together. And
Yeah.
then I was really a fan of like Neo, even like to his like debut, I guess, in You're because You're My Boy, or like You're My Tea. Like there's like 10 different names for that
The
show.
same
Anyway,
names for that one. Yeah.
yeah. And so like I was like following him since like then, And so like, and then like that they were all in it together. And it's just like the acting is so good, and the way that they bring in the emotions. And I honestly was not expecting Neo to be a like serious, like, I mean, because I've seen him in like comedic roles, and like, he's really funny, and he is really funny. But like the way that he's playing Khan is like, it was just like so unexpected. And I was just like, oh my god, like this is so good. And I think it also kind of goes into a lot of like the themes in like society. Even though it is a high school show, it's really about like the school is kind of like an allegory. It's like kind of like stand in for like the government, or for any entity that's like trying to control people.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really showing you a way that, and the students are like the society. They're the ones that are kind of being oppressed and like not having their rights heard. And there's a group of students who are trying to fight against the system, and there's always going to be people. And the perfects kind of represent the people that are like want to stay in the system and like don't see an issue with it, and are just kind of like trying to reap the benefits of still staying in that system. Um, but that may be a bit serious for this conversation. But it's like,
That's
but it's
quite
like that.
special. It's special because it's talking about things that needs to be talked about, and I like that. Like, I'm always keen on the series that talk about like the things that no one wants to address to. So yeah, that's why I think it's very special too. So yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think that that's like part of the reason, because it is talking about things that need to be talked about. um you know and they are, it's just really special. Like that show is like, that's
yeah.
why I do so many edits. uh, um, let's see, the other BLs that I'm watching, I kind of like low key, like they don't get a lot of attention, but I am watching Ghost. I actually am reacting to Ghost House.
It's
Ghost
amazing.
Ghost Ghost House. Huh?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Like,
Yeah, it is really good. And like I think it's not from a big company. So I think that's another reason why people aren't really like paying attention to it. Um but it's surprisingly good for like a series that was built like on a like Instagram like platform. Um cuz
exactly.
right? It's just like it's just so surprising. And the fact that they're um going into the reason I think like the ghost house is good, or is going to be good, is because like, yes, like there's a romantic pairing, but it's also about family drama. Like
Yeah.
there's a whole family that, even though they're ghosts, and even though you don't like have too many glimpses like into their life like before they were ghosts, that there was like problems, and so
Yeah.
like just watching that kind of unfold, and like watching them all have to interact with each other now because they're all ghosts, is like really interesting. um and like plus like the leads are super adorable. Like
Yeah.
they're just really
Wow.
freaking cute. Like, oh my god. And they like liked each other from the first episode. So it's like, what more do y'all people want? There's no like,
Like, even like who was going through the process, like the key days with them, uh, the chemistry and the friendship between the four main boys, it's like it's beautiful. They are so cute, like, and they're very humble in real life. So like when the actors are good people, we tend to get more close to the characters, and when they are like on the big screen, when it finally starts, we're like, okay, so I'm all in. And yeah, I think it's it's a very good story, and it's different. Like, we need different backgrounds, we need different themes. Like, we need to go out from the university. So that's why, like, I'm keen on this, and especially because totally forgot that Todd was in another BL before that I
I
prefer to
didn't even
not
know
talk.
that.
I forgot because let's just say that that BL is not on my uh, list of faves. Okay, it's like
Now I'm
and
like super curious though. Like, no, I want to know which one it
like,
is.
he was on Todd was on Love Area. He was on one, especially on the second season. He was,
Oh,
yeah, he was that character. That character.
now I remember. Oh my god, I can't believe I told.
You know, like I saw, like it was the most difficult show to finish, and
Oh, I hear that for sure.
yeah, like, and then I was like, I don't know, I was doing a research of in the cast because I know a lot about Guide and Brooke, but I didn't know much about Todd and Boy. And when I was going through the drama list, and I was like, oh, he was in Love Ever, I was like, what? He was where? And then he was like one of the main. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm very
Wow.
happy that he has like a good role in this one. Like he deserves this role in this one because that was very painful.
Oh my god, yeah. That Love Area 2 was was
Yeah,
painful.
was
Like
something that we will never be able to describe because like
I cannot. Like there's like no like I was because I really loved season one. Like I was just like yeah, like this is the jam. Like am enjoying this, and so I was excited for season two. And then I was just like,
when
okay.
people when people ask me like, is it worth it to watch? I always say that like this show will always go on my list for the show that makes a Valentine's special episode and breaks all the couples. I've never seen that before. Because like you have a whole focus Valentine's, like Valentine's Day, a whole episode for that, and then after the episode, when episode ends, there's no couples surviving. I'm like, what was the point on this? Like, why?
I was just yeah, I was a bit shocked. I was like, okay, sure. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely just to bring it back. I'm definitely excited about Ghost Host. And I'm looking forward to the episodes because they're really good so far. And I mean, granted, it's only been two episodes, but like those two episodes are really strong. Like they're not, they came out really with just like, damn, okay. Um, the other one that I'm watching is another. So I'm reacting to like two series. So I'm reacting to but like the new ones that I picked up. So one was Ghost House, and then the other one is Big Dragon.
I haven't started that one, but I actually was like, I promised everyone that I will start tomorrow or Monday at most. Because, yeah, I was waiting for that one too. So tell me, is it worth it?
Well,
I
as
don't really
somebody
know. I
who's
don't
like
know.
extremely biased because I'm reacting to it on my YouTube channel, it's
It's special. Yeah.
it is special to me because like I actually started following Maz and Bank like when they were doing like their vacation vlog like
Yeah.
and I just thought their chemistry was like oh my god like they were so like cute like they would bicker and they would fight but they like really like enjoyed each other's company obviously because like and they
They're
just and they yeah, and they were just cute and like it's like okay. And so when I found out they were going to be in Big Dragon, I was like, let's go, like let's do this. I don't read the novels because I know like it was a novel before it got into before it became adapted, but I don't read them. So like I'm coming with at this with like fresh like eyes. Um so but I would say that the first episode was really strong. Now I would also like with the caveat like it's it's let's see, how could I put this? It is strong, like it is like, and there's a scene in there where you're just like, there's a couple scenes where you're just like, why would you do that?
Oh,
It, but I think overall I think it's a really strong start. I will, there is a trigger warning in there for, some
yeah,
questionable behavior. But if you know, if you can kind of like deal with that, then
yeah,
I would give it a go. I
okay.
something I think like I always like want to tell people like when I recommend something, it's like, yeah, like I have no problem like recommending things to people, but just like be aware of like some of the things, because it's like things can trigger people differently. So it's
Yeah,
just like you just want to make sure that you're aware of like what your triggers are, and like if you
exactly.
know that that's gonna be in there, then maybe just kind of like fast forward through those parts.
Yes,
Um,
that's the reason. Like everyone is like very excited with Lita, 11 year, and I'm not watching, and everyone keeps asking me why. It's like, do you don't like the story? It's not that I don't like. It's that it has this one of the triggers I can't deal with, like if it's very very focused on, like if you brush it off on the storyline, maybe I can watch it, but if it's like the main issue, I can't. And that's why I tell people like sometimes shows can be very good and amazing, but if you have a trigger, you have first to warn people like if this is triggering. If it's not trigger for you, it can be for other people. And I think I like when content creators like you and other fellows do the trigger warning, because like we know that some things may not trigger us, but it can trigger someone in a very badly way. So it's like watch, it's amazing because it's like not the whole series is that, but be aware because this may have like a reaction on you that. So yeah, I will try to watch Big Dragon. But if it's like not yeah, because like when I can't watch, I have people that can and they do the reviews for the series that I can't, so I have the fan base updated. So yeah, because there's a lot of shows that I can't watch, especially because they focus on that matter, let's just say.
yeah, yeah,
But it's difficult, but at the same time, I do feel glad that people are talking about it in a serious way. Okay, like it's good to have BLs talking about these issues, like, but in a series, like not like it used to be like in 2010. There was just like more
yeah,
of a
yeah.
joke. But nowadays it's like I think that's why the BLs are being so good nowadays, because they are like not afraid of like I'm going to talk about this and the consequences of this and that. So yeah, now I'm curious about Big Dragon. I have to watch that.
um,
I have to watch that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean I think like the era of BLs now is very different from where it started. Honestly, because I actually didn't start watching like real, like I didn't really start watching BL until like during the pandemic is like when I actually found like BL. Like I was using reading what I was reading Yaoi. I was like, kind of like in the anime space, like not really like And then I just found like, and then I just started watching Traps, and then I was like, and then that was it, like that was over. Um, and I went back to watch a lot of BLs, like from like 2014, all the way, till like I got caught up, and I was just like, why did I want to watch this? Because there was a lot of
Yeah.
things where I was just like, does it get better? Like somebody tells me that somebody needs to tell me that it gets better, because it's like, but I think like now, these kinds of like LGBTQ issues are getting more of a focus. Like it's not just a joke anymore. Like it's not just
Yeah.
something that can be like brushed off as like for comedic value. It is becoming like real issues. More series are talking about gender equality. More series are talking about marriage equality. And even in places like even in series that you wouldn't think that they would. Like I remember when I was watching Cutie Pie and they started talking about marriage equality and people were like, well, this is not a serious show. I'm like, but does that matter? Like, does that matter if it's not a serious show? Like their
Exactly.
their whole like the whole like synopsis of the show is they're in an arranged marriage in a country that doesn't allow them to get married. Like, and they're not going to talk about that. Like how would that even make sense, you know
Yeah.
and they did talk about it, and it was a very like, and they did it really well. And I was very impressed. I was just like, oh wow, they're actually talking about this, like if they're not just like pretending that it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So that really made me happy. And I think that like a lot of these shows now are kind of taking that into consideration, and even just the new generation of actors, like even the ones that are like just starting now are definitely more open than they had been in the past. And
Yeah.
that's a nice change. Because it's nice to hear them openly, you know, kind of say like, yes, marriage equality. Like it's nice when I see like mix, do like these long posts like about marriage
Yeah.
equality, because it's important to the community, and I think that it should be kind of like something that is just there. Like, that just kind of happens. Uh, you know, um but
Because
I really hmm?
I think that nowadays the artists, and we all know that before when the BL started to be like the industry of BL, they were doing this for the money, and we know that. But
Yeah, right.
nowadays they support, and they generally support. Like, uh, I know a few actors that are very new in the market, and they are all straight, but the way that they support is like it's so beautiful, and they are very cautious and always trying to educate themselves. So it's as you said, this new generation is like so much open that makes uh, even more pleasant to watch the BLs and to watch them, because we know that they are not doing this against their will. Let's just say
Right.
they are embracing the character, and they are trying to educate themselves. So uh, it's a new step. It's a new step
Right.
that we need. So yeah,
So actually, this goes into something that is important because there was like a question that was posed like on Twitter about the difference between BL and LGBTQA plus media, and like what was so different about BL versus like queer media. And people gave a lot of opinions as they usually want to do. Say, like saying like, oh, like, well, BL is more just like for fan service, and like queer media is like, real. And I'm like, how? But but for me, but this is just my opinion, of course. Like it's not that different. I mean, like it's in the tent for me. Like yes, like BL, I guess so most of the time it's like rom-com, and it's like very like fantasy, like this is a world that we want to live in, eventually, like this is like the like this is what would be cool, like if everybody was just okay with themselves, and like people could just be gay and like who they like without having any like repercussions or having to worry about family pressures. And then like queer media, like in your name, like your name engraved herein, or you know there's another movie like A Distant Place, those types of movies that kind of show like the reality of what it is, right? But I think that they're both very important to have. And I think especially like BL now, in BL still it gets like this like negative connotation thrown into it when like, oh, the show is like, oh, it's just BL. I'm like, but like, are you really watching like the show? Like, are you really paying attention, or are you just being dismissive because you don't think it's serious enough for you? Like, I just want to know, like, I just want to know like your like take on that.
Yeah, like I think that the main issue is that people see BL as uh, a content that is made for obsessed people that like to fetishize like two men together. And it's not that it may like okay, we know that there's people like that, but BL is not that anymore. There was a huge evolution from the beginning of it. But I think that the main difference is that BL is an industry itself. It's not just a world, it's an industry. And queer content and queer media is more I think we focus more on the as people say like the real things because they see as more as a content to address to the things that are happening right now or their shows that have some sort of queer couple. But it's obvious that BL is queer. So at some point they connect. They connect because most people, yes, have that negative idea of BL. So if you say it's a BL, people won't watch. But if you say it's like it's a show that has a queer couple or has queer content, people will watch that. So and we have one of the movies I love the most that is ABL, but also can be considered as queer media is Goodbye Mother that is on Gaga Ulala. And it talks exactly about everything from the BL, like the romantic part of the BL that we love, but also all the issues of the different cultures and not being accepted and like being gay where in an environment that is not friendly for gay people. So I think that people separate BL and queer media because BL is an industry that moves more and attracts more people and has a specific market. But without this, we wouldn't have so many queer content nowadays. Because I think that BL is opening doors everywhere. So I don't know. I think like yeah, they may not be the same, but they connect. So you can actually say that one thing is real, one is not, because there's a fine line between them. There's a fine line. So I don't know, because even myself that I started Dream BL, it's not Dream BL anymore. It's like BL and all the queer content I can put in it. So uh, I think that eventually it connects. But yeah, unfortunately, BL world is still viewed a bit negative because we still are like cleaning all the past. But I think that like in 5 years, 7 years from now, it won't be this like this. I think it will be actually uh, it will have a very positive view on it. So I'm just waiting for those years to come. Yeah,
I think we all want those years. At least I do.
yeah.
Um, Okay, well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up. We've been here about an hour. I know we're very busy, so I did want to just thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to do this with me. It's been really fun. Um, and anything that you want to say before we go?
No, I just want to thank you. It was amazing. It was an amazing talk, and yeah. And I also like the only thing I want to say is that this is a community. I think that this interview represents like what is the community, and that I wish that this keeps going on. And I also hope to work with you more times in the future because like I love to work with you. So yeah, I just want to thank you, and my name and the name of the team. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I want to like. Hopefully, we can work together in the future. I would definitely enjoy that. Any collaboration, let's do it. But yeah, so guys, that was the interview. I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all got entertained a bit. And yeah, we'll see you all later. Bye. Ya llegaron mis vecinos.